Have you ever spent years playing the same game? Hours upon hours dedicated to one goal, only to discover that the game has plans of its own? This is the story of Lee Han-soo, a gamer whose life was changed forever. A man who spent 9 years battling an impossible game, only to find himself trapped inside it. We begin with Lee Han-soo, our protagonist. Picture this: you're lying in a hospital bed, stuck in the same white room for days. What do you do? For Lee Han-soo, the answer was video games. From childhood to adulthood, video games were his escape. But even that escape had its limits. One day, Han-soo, frustrated with yet another loss, mutters bitterly,
"Everything in life gets boring with enough time spent on it. Forget it. I quit."
But sometimes, when you think you're done, life throws you something unexpected. That's when he stumbled upon Dungeon and Stone, a strange, poorly rated game no one seemed to care about. Its description? Extremely difficult, for players who crave the ultimate challenge. Most would have skipped over it, but not Han-soo. He clicked play, and in that moment his life changed forever. Dungeon and Stone was no ordinary RPG. Here, you couldn't go it alone. You had to strategize, form parties, and fight through grueling levels. The catch? When you die, you start all over. Days turn into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. 9 years later. 9 long years. Han-soo spent his entire 20s trying to beat this game. From his hospital bed, to his college dorm, to his office commute, Dungeon and Stone consumed him. And finally, after thousands of deaths, he reached the final boss, the Gate of the Abyss. This is it. I made it. You have set foot in the abyss. Tutorial successfully cleared. Wait, what? With a flash of intense light and excruciating pain all over his body, he lost consciousness. Han-soo got sucked into game. When Han-soo wakes up, something feels wrong. Lee Han-soo, jolting awake in confusion. His head throbs, his vision blurs, and the air feels oppressively heavy. As his surroundings come into focus, he is struck by the overwhelming realization: this isn't his home, and it certainly isn't real life. Han-soo's vision gets cleared. He finds himself in a world eerily familiar, yet profoundly different. The brutal MMORPG he once played obsessively. He saw an old but muscular man shouting, "Begin your journey to become true warriors." Han-soo gets in his senses, and he realized that he is surrounded by physically superior and fearsome peoples, and the suspicious old man yelling out nonsense from his mouth. You will now pick up a weapon of your choice. But Han-soo is no longer himself. He now inhabits the body of Bjorn Jandel, a towering barbarian famed for his sheer physical might. His first thoughts are a chaotic mix of disbelief and panic. This isn't possible. How am I here? He flexes his fingers, feeling the weight of the enormous battle axe strapped to his back. Then he suddenly realized he is in the game. How game began when he chose the barbarian character. Han-soo see a person standing beside. He looks confused and even frightened to death. Unlike other barbarian that are gathered here, Han-soo think he wasn't the only one that got sucked into game. Everyone chooses their weapons for journeys. Suddenly, that old man comes near because of sound of that man who stand beside Han-soo. Old man gets angry because that guy said something without permission. Old man asks Han-soo, "I asked that you." Han-soo trembled in fear and said, "No." Then old man glaring to person stand beside Han-soo, "It is to be you." That man trembled and said, "Are you talking about Dungeon and Stone?" Old man swing his axe and cut the head of that guy. Han-soo terrified seeing that scene, looking at ground. Old man said, "Orium the son of Kajua was possessed by an evil spirit. Young warriors, forget every word that came out of that evil eye spirit's mouth." At that moment, Han-soo understands 3 things. Number 1, anyone that came from outside the game like he and I are evil spirits. Number 2, if they find out about it will die. Number 3, it could have been my head detached from my body. Conclusion, Hansu must see the ceremony to the end without being found out. But there is a small problem. He has no idea what he's named in this world. Old man calling warriors one by their names. Hansu cursing the system for not telling his name. Hansun think of an idea 2 seconds after the name is called out. While it could well be the name of another warrior possessed by this evil spirit, he must take his chances. Hansu swallows nervously as the old man begins calling names. Old man calling a name. Bjorn, son of Yandel. Step forward. Hansun count 2 seconds. Within 2 seconds after the name is called, that has to be his name, hopefully. What would you do if you woke up trapped in a game you spent years playing? For Lee Hansu, now Bjorn Jandel, this is no longer a game. It's survival. Will he escape? Or will the game claim him? Subscribe and join us as we follow Hansu's journey through Dungeon and Stone, a world where every decision could mean life or death.